water and wastewater systems face significant operational and managerial challenges. These might include aging infrastructure, recruiting and retaining qualified staff, establishing financial reserves, and setting rates that will sustain your system. This video is a companion piece to a training that was developed and sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture and the Environmental Protection Agency, where RCAP Solutions, the Northeast affiliate of RCAP, the Rural Community Assistance Partnership, we're a comprehensive nonprofit community development organization with local field offices and staff throughout the Northeast, USVI, and Puerto Rico. We provide training and technical assistance in all aspects of developing, maintaining, and managing adequate, affordable water and wastewater systems in rural, low-income areas. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. It introduces 10 key topics related to sustainable utility management. During the upcoming training, we'll discuss these topics in detail and help you conduct your own system assessment based on these critical issues. We'll help you develop an action plan for your own system based on the specific challenges that you are facing. As you listen to a summary of each of these topics, think about your system's performance, your strengths, and where there might be room for improvement.
Hi, this is Kathy Rogers with RCAP Solutions in Bangor, Maine. Here to talk to you about water resource adequacy as one of the 10 key management areas for sustainable utility management. So water systems need to understand their role in water availability and manage their operations to provide long-term aquifer and surface water sustainability and the replenishment of that water. A long-term supply and demand analysis should be completed to help ensure that the utility can meet the water and sanitation needs of its customers now and for the reasonable future. The water system over time will need to have the ability to both make operational and capital adjustments to meet the needs of the customer. Conservation and public education are also important factors that will help ensure current and future customers' needs will be met. Now, various management alternatives may need to be considered when planning for long-term water supply needs. There are many factors that can impact current and future water resource adequacy, including social, economic, financial, and environmental factors. Growth from increasing populations, businesses, industries, and customer behaviors with regards to water usage will all have an impact on water resource adequacy. According to the US EPA, most states in the U.S. expect to have water shortages under average conditions in some portion of their state over the next decade. Water conservation can play a vital role in helping maintain current and future water resource adequacies. Here in the United States, each American uses an average of 88 gallons of water per day at home. By installing water-efficient fixtures and appliances, each person could use at least 20% less water. Water leaks in faucets and toilets are common means of wasting water. Educating your customers plays an important role in water resource adequacy. Now, water product quality can include the quality of all related products, including drinking water, fire suppression, treated effluent, reused water, and biosolids, as well as quality-related operating requirements such as pressure and number of sewer overflows. Now, a well-managed water utility produces potable water, treated effluent, and processed residuals in full compliance with regulatory and reliability requirements, and it has to be consistent with customer, public health, and ecological needs. And I'd like to point out that distribution systems are a key element in water product quality. So even if good quality potable water enters the distribution system, it must be maintained for final usage. Deteriorating water infrastructure will result in frequent water main breaks. You'll have openings in storage tanks. Water pressure will fluctuate, and other situations that can really pose an intermittent or persistent health risk. Now, one resource you have is customers. They are a great source for water quality information. So when a customer complains, receive it, document it in as much detail as possible. Once those water customer complaints are cataloged, then it becomes really easy to troubleshoot and investigate causes of the problem, and then you can implement effective mitigation strategies.
Hello, my name is Sukhvinder Singh and I'm the Pennsylvania State Lead with RCAP Solutions. I'd like to discuss customer satisfaction and highlight a couple of tips that will help your utility improve upon this area. Educating and engaging the public is still one of the most overlooked, underdeveloped, and challenging aspects of utility management. Utilities that understand their customers' attitudes, the behaviors, and preferences are much better able to initiate targeted performance improvement to increase overall customer satisfaction. Creating these opportunities to engage and educate your consumers, whether they're young or old, will build understanding and trust within the community. Achieving this customer support is very critical to moving forward with any infrastructure improvements that you may be considering, and it's really needed for sustainable utility management. So what are some ways that a utility could develop a positive relationship and set realistic expectations with their customers? I'm going to highlight a couple of key points here. These are not the only ways to do this, but these are some suggested steps to take. So step number one, your governing board should take the initiative to formalize a mission statement if you don't already have one. Mission statements are generally only 2 to 3 sentences, and they're important in helping the public really understand what your utility does. A good mission statement will guide your work and that of future boards in terms of decision making and policy setting. As a part of this, also identify and set explicit service levels to manage the expectations of the public. You may also want to conduct a customer satisfaction survey. You can review online examples of questions that will help your utility determine what your customers are expecting in terms of service, water quality, and rates. RCAP can also assist in the development of this customer satisfaction survey. A third way that a utility can develop positive relationships and set realistic expectations with your customers is to also make sure that you have a complaint log. It's a way to develop and gauge customer satisfaction. Logging customer complaints is an invaluable tool in improving outcomes and will also enable decision makers to understand what trends or patterns exist and where countermeasures should be taken to prevent future complaints. A fourth way is to look for ways to develop your customer's personal connection to your utility. Providing tours to schools and civic groups, hosting an open house, or even writing a quarterly newsletter are all really wonderful engagement opportunities that can teach your community about their utility's water or wastewater, the history, the source, the environmental impact, and the state of the current infrastructure. And finally, your utility may wish to create stewardship opportunities. Make the public aware of how their individual actions on the land impact the quality of water for all the residents and for all living things, as a matter of fact. It's equally important to let your customers know how they can help, why their behaviors and contributions make the plant operators' jobs easier, and some simple things to support water quality efforts. So in short, know what your customers expect in terms of service, water quality, and rates. Set goals to meet those expectations. Help the customers understand the value of water. And develop a way to get feedback and act on that feedback. And one more tip. When you review complaints, obtain feedback after the actions have been taken. That feedback will also be invaluable to you in terms of telling your utility what steps are working and what steps aren't.
Community sustainability and economic development is a key management area that emphasizes that utilities are critical assets to a community. A sustainable utility is always making adjustments to meet the social and economic needs of its residents. So water and wastewater system board members should engage proactively with their community, and the board should emphasize that the water and the wastewater utilities, as critical assets within that community, must be a part of all planning efforts. Knowing the components of the system assets, the age, the consequence of failure, the cost replacement, and basic asset management practices are the backbone of sustainability. Board members must also balance resources with community needs and long-term planning. So furthermore, the development of a capital improvement plan encompassing 5 years will assist with identifying expansion of service, treatment upgrades, and replacement of worn-out equipment. Factors that should be included within the capital improvement plan include the growth demand in the service area, local economic and demographic conditions, results of sanitary surveys, and requirements for low-interest loans in compliance with federal and state regulations. One thing that we should say to our boards is be active in your community and participate in any discussions of community economic development and growth. Get to know the local business needs and be aware of opportunities for new residential or business customers, and align your utility goals. Be attentive to the impacts utility decisions have on the future.
Employee and leadership development. Retirement and workforce competition is an ongoing challenge for utilities. It is often a running commentary that one utility will steal an employee from another utility. Boards and managers must find new ways to attract and retain employees. Today's workforce, they want upward mobility, they want flexibility, and they want a well-defined career path. So employees that want a better defined career path are the ones in which they don't want to wait for a vacancy to occur. So by setting goals and objectives for your employees, you will be helping them meet their career goals while also meeting your water or wastewater system's strategic goals. This is going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's ultimately going to provide better public health protection. My advice would be to engage employees about ways to advance their career through building skills and nurturing their competencies. An employee's skill set can be built to match the utility's needs. You can do this through structured training, on-the-job training, coaching, and mentoring. Work to define the utility's needs and incorporate them into the career progression path. For example, utilities are moving to digital mapping. A self-directed employee can develop and build mapping skills while upgrading your mapping program. So although for the employee this may not be a promotion, it is an opportunity to build skills and be a part of a cool creative project and ultimately enhance their job satisfaction. And the added benefit that digital mapping is a building block of asset management, which is critical for sustainable utilities. Financial viability. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, across the country, 25% of drinking water utilities and more than 40% of the wastewater utilities do not collect enough revenue to cover the full cost of providing their services. That creates a significant financial challenge to those utilities. In addition, the problem of aging infrastructure in the Northeast requires significant attention today and large investments tomorrow. There are many systems that are more than 70 to 100 years old. To face these challenges and find solutions, understanding and documenting your utility's operational, maintenance, and asset replacement costs are a great place to start. This process will begin to define the value of the service that you are providing to your customers, and it will help you answer some difficult questions. How much does it cost to produce drinking water and process wastewater? How much is water and wastewater services worth to your community? Having a realistic picture of your financial situation and your system's value is a must. You are unlikely to increase the financial viability of your utility without developing good accounting, auditing, and financial reporting habits. Develop policies that are simple and easy to explain to your customers. Produce multi-year budgets. This will help you look at trends and plan for future improvements. Don't just base the upcoming budget on how much you spent the year before. Anticipate the need for small rate increases and be ready to explain why they are necessary. Establish reserve funds and contribute to them. Develop an asset management program to anticipate what those contributions should be. Perform a rate study to help determine whether your rates are adequate, equitable, and affordable. Establish sound debt management practices by looking at both short and long-term obligations. Try to understand how those obligations impacts your cash flow and your overall cost of providing services. We come from a place of understanding. We realize that obtaining financial viability can be a long road. RCAP is a great place to get started, one step at a time. We have free resources related to all of these subjects, including easy-to-understand guidebooks and in-person technical assistance. So if you still don't know where to start, try this. Complete an inventory of your major assets, document their age and condition, and estimate their replacement cost. This activity is best conducted with the help of an operator who knows when the equipment should be replaced. Having a list will provide you with powerful information and help you avoid many unplanned expenses. Sometimes generating a complete list of assets can be very time-consuming. It may take weeks, if not months, to complete, but it doesn't have to be overly complicated. A list on a piece of paper or a simple spreadsheet is enough to get you started. And fortunately, there are plenty of resources available to help, including RCAP. Operational optimization means that you're getting the best out of your crew, your treatment processes, and your equipment. You want to operate equipment at its peak design capacity and in the best condition possible. An operation and maintenance plan on all your equipment should be developed. It should also be followed and accessible for your operator. And it also should be accessible for your backup operator, because when emergencies happen, you want to be able to provide consistent service. Operators should also log any kind of issues with equipment and maintenance conducted. And when it comes to testing and sampling, you want to make sure that you are using the correct test and that you have a consistent sampling procedure in place for each of your process controls that you're monitoring, and this will help with consistency and accuracy of your results. Record any physical and visual observations during the testing and sampling period. This information provides really useful data that can be referenced to understand seasonal trends that are occurring at your plant and assist in monitoring equipment efficiency. By optimizing your operation, you will be saving money and avoiding long-term problems.
Let's talk about what is infrastructure stability, what are some of the hallmarks of infrastructure stability, and give you some guidance on that. So when we talk about infrastructure stability, we need to understand both the big picture of how your system functions as well as the minute details of each component. So there are some basic questions that apply to small and rural utilities as well as larger utilities. Do you have a record of your critical system components? Do you know where they are, when they were installed, how much it would cost to replace one of those assets? It can be very difficult to plan when you have limited knowledge of the condition of the existing infrastructure components of your system. With a small system, it's also common to become trapped in a reactive repair mode. This mode of operation is financially unsustainable and leaves little opportunity for a more proactive approach. Establishing a basic asset management program is not as daunting as it may sound. Many states have grant and loan programs available for hiring an engineer to help, but even without an engineer, there are steps that you can take right now to get on a more sustainable track. Technical assistance providers working for RCAP and others can help. And even with the assistance of RCAP or your engineer, it is critical that the members of the management team and the operators understand the process, have input, and continue to update the program. An asset management program is not a plan that sits on a shelf. Rather, it is a mode of sustainable operation. At a minimum, the sustainable utility will implement basic practices that are part of asset management. Understanding the costs and conditions for each system component will give you an idea of what needs to be replaced and when. You can even start with a simple list of system components, the asset inventory, and add to it over time. Include the type of asset, the condition of the asset, the location, the age, the life expectancy, and the cost to replace. At the most basic level, this information can be put into a financial reserves worksheet so that you can estimate how much you need to set aside annually for future equipment replacement. And RCAP can help you and guide you through this process every step of the way. If you can, put these assets on a map. Track the maintenance completed on each asset. Mark the location of the major pipe breaks to identify patterns. Keep all of these in a central location so that you can collaborate with your board and operator. These tools will help you become more proactive in the management of your system and help to build community confidence. Is there, for example, an upcoming sidewalk or a road project in your town that would be a good opportunity to replace a section of main, thereby allowing you to minimize disruption and save on paving costs? Have you had numerous repairs on a section of main or on a piece of equipment that warrants its replacement? Without a process for documenting these issues, it can be difficult to step back and see the big picture. The thousands of dollars you're spending every year on pipe repair, for example, would likely be better spent on a low-interest loan for pipe replacement. Getting away from the reactive mode can take time, but there is an opportunity to reduce operational and capital costs if asset management is done well. The disruption in the community associated with repair, rehabilitation, and replacement activities is one of the most visible of utility actions. It is when the hidden infrastructure is not so hidden. These highly visible actions can leave a lasting impression on community residents. Educating your community about the current condition of your system and the future need can help to build support and understanding for a critical rate increase. So understand the cost, the condition of your system components, understand the operational performance factors, plan for those system component repairs and replacements, and coordinate the asset repair and the rehabilitation with the community.
Well, operational resiliency means that you've taken the time and you've identified potential threats to your system. You've considered appropriate responses to those threats, and then you've communicated that plan. Now, threats to your system may vary in type and they may vary in severity. You may have legal troubles. You may have financial challenges. Maybe a large customer left and you don't have as much funding coming through. Maybe there was a difficulty meeting regulations. Maybe there was some type of spill, or maybe there was a natural contaminant that you found in your well. Maybe the MCLs got changed. Whatever the issue is, you're definitely at an advantage if you've discussed what may be coming down the road. Take some time to introduce yourself to the police department, the fire department, your local emergency management, or any kind of governing agency like that, or local agencies. It definitely can save some time and confusion and increase cooperation during a time of an emergency. Now, RCAP works with many small special districts who provide water and wastewater, but they're not a part of the town government. So oftentimes the local emergency plan doesn't include them in it, or if they do, that plan is outdated. This is really an easy fix. Once you've established some kind of communication with them, or if you've gone through and done your emergency response plan update, then that's a good time to go and talk with the local agencies about theirs and make sure it's updated. And in conjunction with an emergency response plan, you should really be considering a vulnerability assessment. And these vulnerability assessments give you a chance to better identify where the weaknesses lie in your system. And some lenders will require that you conduct these vulnerability assessments and these emergency response plans as a condition of your loan, and really for a good reason. because many of the small systems are unprepared for any slight disruption. In these times especially, it's easy to recognize proactive management of a crisis, whether a worldwide pandemic or the loss of a critical pump, increases the chance for smooth return to normal operation. And then there's unpredictable climate conditions. Up here in the Northeast, where I'm at, there was a drought that happened in 2016, and where we were previously water rich, wells were running dry. So a lot were scrambling to identify and contact bulk water haulers. So it's better to be on the list and ready to go with a water supply in hand, rather than being in the back of the line.
Stakeholder understanding and support is the last of the 10 key management areas that we're going to discuss. And it is the most critical key management area as it links and bridges all of the other key management areas together. It helps generate the support that you as the manager of your utility need to move forward with planned repairs, replacements, and upgrades to your treatment facility. Typically, public relations is also not a strong point of a utility. You're busy with making sure that the system is operating the way that it needs to, making sure that your collection system and your distribution system are running fine, and you're dealing with emergencies, you're dealing with customer issues, you're dealing with a variety of other issues. And your board members, who are very well-intentioned but are also volunteers, may not necessarily have the interest and or the skill set to tell the story of your utility to help you generate the support that you need. So for example, if you are looking at a rate increase, or if you are looking at a planned repair on your distribution system, unless you are able to tell that story to your customers, they're not necessarily going to understand why those rates have gone up or why there is now suddenly construction on their road. So what are some steps that you can take with your utility to help build stakeholder understanding and support and move forward with those capital improvements projects that you must do? Number one, the best measure is to simply go ahead and prepare informational materials and make sure that you get those informational materials about your utility into the hands of your customers. So for example, you could develop a Facebook page, you could provide newsletter articles, or you could actually generate yourself articles about your system, your treatment plant, and put those in existing newsletters. Another way is to host an open house and hold a tour of your wastewater treatment facility or your drinking water plant. A third thing that your system should do to help build stakeholder understanding and develop that support is to also generate plans. And these plans range from emergency response plans to capital improvement plans to asset management plans, but these are plans that you develop cooperatively with other stakeholders within your community to make sure that all the bases are covered. So in short, a sustainable utility will have a number of measures in place. Number one, there will be a variety of plans, emergency response, capital improvements, asset management plans that all detail and lay out the priorities of the utility. And those plans will have been made available to the public. Secondly, your utility will have standardized operating procedures. And lastly, your utility will take every opportunity to educate the public about the important work that your utility performs to protect the environment and provide safe, clean drinking water to your customers or to treat the wastewater.
Thanks for watching. The importance of effective utility management is only going to increase as your infrastructure and your staff continues to age. Water and wastewater services are vital to public health. These times of pandemic and economic uncertainty makes that clear. During the upcoming training, we'll help you to identify the most critical challenges that you are facing and help you focus your efforts. Until then, thanks for all you do to provide effective and sustainable utility management to your community.